Nice. You want to learn how to wax your car like a professional? Stay tuned. We're going to go into all those details next. Hi, I'm Todd Cooprider with ESOTERIC, and welcome to a very special how-to video today, which is how to wax your car. As you can see, we don't just have any car here. This is a very special 1954 300 SL Gullwing Mercedes. These things are some of the most absolute beautiful cars ever made. This one, we have to thank the FFF collection. We are here at their facility for letting us come in, do some work on this car, and showcase some of the other stuff that is in here. You want to learn a little bit more about this exact car, we're going to link you to a video that they go into the restoration process on it so you can learn a little bit more. And then in this collection here, before I get into the wax, I mean, we've got everything from new Ford GTs, old Ford GTs, Carrera GTs, Bugatti Chirons, Koenigsegg's, McLaren Speedtails, 918 Paganis, a little bit of everything here. It's a very special place. These guys have been great customers of ours for quite some time. Okay, let's get into waxing, the subject of this video. And we want to talk about how to go about doing it, what you get out of it, and some things to avoid when you're doing it. Waxing is not dead. You see a lot of videos, a lot of information about ceramic coatings. Those are fantastic, but to some people, they enjoy waxing. I'm one of those people. I really enjoy the process. There's a certain therapeutic aspect to it that you don't get with coating. It's engaging when you're working with your car, applying a wax, the scents, everything else that goes along with it. And if you've got cars like this, chances are they're going to be waxed. Now with waxes, we've got several different kinds here. Got some Polish Angel, got some Kamikaze, but they're different types of materials. Some waxes like this one are extremely soft. This would be a softer wax. You have harder wax. You want to get with the manufacturer of the wax that you're working with, and you want to find out what recommendations that they have. Some waxes, like our Polish Angel here, you let it sit on the surface for about 20 minutes after you apply before you remove it. Some waxes, you want to do one panel at a time and quickly remove it. Otherwise, you can end up with streakiness or haziness to it, which doesn't look good, and it can be really difficult to fix. So be sure to consult whatever manufacturer of wax that you're using to find out what is the best way to use their wax and get the most out of it. Okay, what are some of the things that we need to have with us when we're waxing a car? Well, one, you need your wax of a choice, and there's a wide variety of waxes. You can buy waxes from as cheap as $10. You can buy waxes for several $1,000s. It depends on what you're looking for out of it. Typically speaking, the more expensive the wax, the better the durability, the more pure wax it's going to be, the better the shine, better the water beating, all those different things. Okay, you got your wax. You want a high quality wax applicator pad. We've always been a big fan of these nice soft foam pads. They're not going to scratch up the surface. Now, you think of your dad's waxing he did way back when, had this terry cloth applicator that probably been stuffed in the wax can for years and years. It's dirty, it's nasty. You don't want to use that. Think about this. The finish is very delicate. If you have something that's old and dirty, you have a chance of scratching it. Another thing we want to talk about is how much wax that you want to use. Very little bit is all you need to get the job done. Most people have been waxing for years. They're using way too much. You think of the old can of Simonized thing and you just dip down inside there and get a bunch of wax on top of it. That's not the way you wax. That's way, way too much. You're overusing it, and you're probably going to get streaking and smearing in the process. And here's another key. You want to have a couple of different towels. I'm going to use a 2-towel method. I'm going to have 2 separate ones. That way I know which one's my first wipe, which one's my second wipe. Your first wipe, that's going to remove the majority of the wax off of the surface. You come back with a secondary towel to lightly buff all that off so that you make sure that you get everything out of there. And having some kind of good flashlight afterwards is good to have too, because that way you can look to see if you've got any kind of streaking or smearing. So we get ready for waxing. We obviously want to wash the car. If it's had something else on it, you're not sure, use something like Geon Prep. you can go in and strip that. You want to make sure that you have a full clean surface. Now, for those of you who think that you need to go and clay a car before waxing, we've talked about that in many videos before. You don't want to do that unless you are machine polishing, because otherwise that claying process is going to scratch the surface and you don't want to do that. So we got our towels, we got our applicators, we've got our wax of choice. Now we want to talk a little bit about the process on the car. For us here at Esoteric, we like working top surfaces, work our way down. That way I'm not having to potentially lean up against an area that I've already waxed to get to the center. If I do those top areas first, work my way down, I don't have to worry about that anymore. And when we're waxing, we want to think of the direction that we're working in too. On something like this, it's a very long body of a car. Think of it, you're mowing your grass, you got a rectangular yard. If you do it lengthwise, that's fewer times that you're stopping making turns. If you do it side to side, it's taking a lot extra time. So we want to be efficient when we're waxing and go with the length of the body panel that we're working on. Okay, now getting into the waxing itself, I'm gonna grab my Polish Angel wax here. And as I go to apply it, all I'm going to do is lightly put it on the wax. So I get just a little bit onto the applicator here. You don't have to load it all up. And when I go to the surface, I'm going to kind of dab it around a little bit so that I can spread it a little bit more easily. And I'm just putting enough pressure on the surface to get it to completely spread in. And what I'm doing is I'm using not exactly circular motions, kind of an oval, and I'll continue that process all the way down to make sure I get even coverage. Then what I'm going to do after I've gone down that whole area, I'm going to go back and just straight lines back and forth. This is a real key right here to make sure that you've got really thin, even coverage the entire way. And when you're looking at the surface, you know, this is a silver car, it's not going to stand out that much, but even if it were a darker surface, it's going to be a little bit difficult to see it on there. You don't want to have so much wax concentrated on it that it's really easy to see. Once again, most people end up using way too much wax. You saw how much I used there. I can probably continue the rest of the way down. I just add a little bit more to it, dab it in place, kind of work it in a circular motion to make sure I've got complete even coverage. And once again, I'm going to go back and I am going to do long straight strokes to make sure I've got it thin and even. There's also another reason why we do it that way. Because if you're waxing and you're getting heavy concentrations in areas and it starts to set up and you go to wipe it off, all of those areas where you have that heavy concentration, you've got a really good chance of it coming back hazy or sweating or a smeary area right in there. By going in and doing just long straight motions, we considerably reduce the risk of having too heavy of a concentration and then running into a situation where it looks bad afterwards. Okay, with this wax right here, like I said, it usually takes about 20 minutes to set up. In this case, we're going to kind of pretend that we've had 20 minutes. And what happens if you leave wax on too long or too little relative to what the manufacturer's recommendations are? Well, if you leave it on too long, chances are it's going to become very difficult to remove. And when you run into that situation, you're definitely going to have some haziness or some streakiness, or in the summertime, you'll notice it'll actually have a sweating kind of look to it. We don't want that. If we leave it on too little, it might not set up well enough. And in that case, you end up with a situation where the durability is not going to be as good on it. Okay, what about layering wax? People always want to ask about doing that. How many layers to do, how much time in between. Once again, you want to check with your manufacturer, but most of the time they'll recommend about 24 hours between layers of wax. And 15 layers of wax doesn't mean it's 15 times more protective on the car. But by doing a couple, 2 or 3 layers on it, it just helps the looks a bit, it helps the durability a bit. Then when you come back and want to do a reapplication or a month or 2 down the road, you've got a better base of wax on there. You're not completely starting out from scratch. But most good wax manufacturers are going to have those kind of recommendations for you to figure out what is going to work best. One thing I would avoid doing, if you got a car show, people want to figure out what's the best way to get that most pop right before a car show. Well, I would make sure and do it the day before, not the day of. Because if you do it the day before and you run into any kind of problem with streaking or smearing, you've got the opportunity to correct it before the show. If you do it right away, get to the show and find out you have a problem, you've got a great big mess, you're out in the sun, and it's going to be really difficult to use. So anyhow, there's a lot of stuff we've gone over in this wax video talking about how to do it. And once I finish up here showing you the removal of it, we've got another little special presentation right here at the end that we're going to do. Okay, so going back to removal. Once again, with this wax here, we're going to pretend like it was 20 minutes, but once again, check with your wax manufacturer. Now my towels, I don't want to have my towels down like this. I don't want to have them wadded up. Keep them folded in force. That way you can kind of flip it over from time to time. And then I'll hold on to the loose ends here so it doesn't fold back over. But you can do small circular motions. Once again, I'm not really putting any kind of pressure on this whatsoever. I just want to make sure I'm getting all of that off of the surface. Now, after I remove all of it, I come back with my secondary towel. And I'm going to do that more of a straight line kind of motion. I want to make sure I get all the rest of it off. And you can typically feel if it starts to get a little grabby in areas, or if it's feeling slick, you know that you've got it all removed. Repeat that process around the whole car. If you get to the point where your towels don't seem to be doing as good a job, remove it. Grab a couple of fresh towels because after you start getting a lot of buildup of wax in here, you may end up with some streaking or smearing on it. Okay, now that we've gone over the details of waxing, I've brought in a couple of special guests here. We've got Jordan, we've got Jason. They are two of the Fs in the Triple F collection. Guys, I wanted to thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to come in here, film with such a special car, and show people a couple of the other special cars that you've got in here. When it comes to the maintenance aspect of it, for any of you out there, when you're waxing a car, just use a good pH neutral shampoo, wash it. You don't need to add anything else on top of it. And then figure every 3 or 4 washes, you might be adding some more wax to it. So speaking of wax, what we did here is we went to Polish Angel in Germany, one of our big suppliers that we have, because we thought a car like this, 1954 Mercedes, made in Germany, that it should have a wax especially for this car. He made a bespoke wax just for this car, hand mixed it up a week or so ago. And what we wanted to do is we wanted to present you guys this special bespoke wax to keep in the Triple F collection that will be designed specifically for going on this 300 SL. Really cool, very nicely done.
Wow.
In here. You get a little bit of a keepsake with it. So then when it's ready to be re-waxed, just give me a call. I'll come over here and do it. And I'll try not to drop this on the car as I present it over to you. But thank you guys so much. You've been friends of the business for many years now. We appreciate the relationship that we have. Please accept that bespoke wax as a token of our appreciation.
I had no idea that was even being done.
Well, we like to do things a special way here at ESOTERIC. It's a really neat product, and to have a one-off wax to go with a one-off
So hand mixed by them.
Yep.
Completely just made for this car.
Absolutely. We told them what the car was, what color and everything, and they mixed it up especially for this project.
I didn't even know that was possible. Did you know that was even a thing?
That's super impressive. I guess you can get bespoke anything now.
So basically, I think what we're going to be doing is any of your other cars that we're not doing film and coating or whatever, we can do the same thing. We can get some bespoke waxes for you made, especially for it.
That sounds great. I mean, you guys just keep coming up with these unique, innovative ways to keep taking care of the cars, to keep it fresh, these innovative ideas, that's kind of, where we came from is how innovative can we be? And, you guys are always on the forefront, which is one of the big reasons why we really enjoy working with you specifically, with ESOTERIC. Such a great feel, and just coming out, we're happy we can open up the garage to you and your place and, just share share the space and share the cars and allow us to do our thing together.
Back in the beginning days, before it was even called Triple F Collection, you know, came up to your place and I think you had about 6 cars. The Highline car at the time was like a 458 maybe.
It was, yeah, a 458 Italia coupe.
Yeah, and now it's grown and expanded just a little bit. You know, for those of you out here who want to learn a little bit more about a Triple F collection, you have to check out their YouTube channel. Follow them on social media. We'll put the links below so you can check that stuff out. Thank you as always for joining us here on the Esoteric channel, especially for this special video that we've gotten the opportunity to do with the Triple F collection. Beautiful 1954 300 SL Gullwing. Hopefully that gives you a better understanding of how to wax your car like a professional. And you want to learn a little bit more about some of the waxes that we like, check out these next videos. As always, thank you. We look forward to seeing you again the next time right here on the Esoteric channel.